Okay, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports, and we have Letitia with her new shoes.
Yay!
What do you think?
Very nice.
Yeah?
I like the color.
Yeah, that reflective, so I just did a quick unboxing of them, and I shot some video, but it was really hard to capture. But it is reflective. It really, it's not just, it is reflective. I put it next to another pair of white shoes thinking, okay, well, they should be fairly equal as far as their visibility. So I had the lights off and I was using a headlight, bicycle headlight to try to make it, but it would be reflective, but it was hard to shoot with the camera. So anyway, so let's see if we can get which one is your wider foot?
My left.
Left foot. Okay, so let's see if we can get the left shoe out.
Okay.
And let's see how it goes. And if we don't like this video, we can delete it. So please just be genuine.
Okay, how do I work these little dials?
Yeah, so
honestly, I've never had them.
Yeah, the BOA. So what you want to do is pull up and out.
Ah, okay.
And hear that click, yeah.
Okay. Oh, and do I need to no, I see. Got it.
Yep.
Cool.
So sometimes there's paper and a little cardboard bridge in there. No?
I think that's it.
No, okay, cool. Okay, so we're going to give a quick shout out to this other Rev shop that's in Minnesota because they inadvertently, Lake inadvertently shipped them to that Rev shop and then they had to ship them to me. Nope. So now push in.
Push in.
Yep, and then turn. There you go.
Oh, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm so easily impressed.
Well, believe it or not, it's the little things.
Yes.
It's always the little things. So what are your initial impressions?
Well, feels good. Feels just a hair loose.
Okay.
But it's cold right now.
Right.
And my feet are swelling.
Yeah.
Or not swelling.
So loose on the sides or lengthwise? Because we did go just a tiny bit
It's in
lengthwise.
the walking that it's a little, see, my heel slides a little.
Right. So keep in mind, we don't walk in cycling shoes.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, that it's really for cycling. It's not something that matters.
So in a static measurement, I stick a finger in the back here, and you notice how hard it was for me to get that in? So yeah, that's the right size.
Okay.
So now what I'd like for you to do is sit back down, please.
Okay.
And now watch my foot. See how I'm kicking the heel back? Okay, do that. Okay, and now cinch up the shoe again. Just a little bit. Yeah, not too tight, but you just want to make sure.
Okay.
And then that should take out a lot of the looseness.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now try not to bend your heel or your ankle like you're doing. Because, because that's not a pedaling motion.
No, the pedaling motion is keep your foot straight.
Yes, ma'am. So here's what happens. Here's what happens. We walk around in the showroom with shoes. But in all actuality, when we pedal, that's...
No, we're like that.
So the way, if you can hand me that other shoe.
Okay.
Just so we can show the viewers and you at the same time. So typically the bottom of a shoe has kind of like a fulcrum type of setup. So if you're walking, it's going to lift your heel out of the shoe. It's just going to.
Right. And then, of course, you're going to be walking on your toes.
And you're walking on your toes.
Yeah. No, they feel good.
Yeah.
Really good.
So let's talk about where your previous shoes were causing a pain and point to it on this shoe so that the viewers know what has been alleviated by going to this shoe.
Well, first of all, they were starting to feel a little tight through the toes.
Okay, so the length of it.
The length. My feet apparently, after my big walking trip, got bigger. And then they were a little tight through that part.
Okay. Now let's talk about that part. So I did an unboxing video for these shoes. And do you feel a difference of this being split here, and then having these pressure relief zones? Do you feel a difference in that?
I can definitely tell with the pressure relief zones.
Okay, all right. So that's what we were after.
Yeah.
Is this the foot with the bunion? Is that why we tried this one?
They both have them.
They both do.
Polish
all right.
feet.
Well, that's okay. So now let's put on the other shoe then.
Okay.
And let's see how we're doing. Because sometimes if we... So one of the things that Lake, I think, might do... I had another shoe brand. I can't remember who it was. They would sell me 2 different size shoes.
Oh, that's weird. Well, no, I understand it.
Yeah.
Because some people have vastly different shoe sizes.
That's right.
Feet sizes.
Let me see. I think it was Victoria that would do that. But I don't know that Lake would do it. But, you know, we would figure something out. But what I'm saying is, if we go and the left foot was the problem child of the 2, yeah, those if you like these shoes, we'll get rid of those tags right away.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be all new. All right, so kick your heel back like we did on the other shoe. There you go. And then cinch.
Cinch.
So you want to kick your heel back, do it again, and just kind of leave your foot in that orientation. There you go. And then now normally I would err on the side of tightening this one first.
Okay. Then
this one, just kind of snug. But you will get most of your stability of the shoe and power transfer if this one is snug and this one just barely is closed.
Okay.
A lot of the swelling happens in the forefoot. Sometimes, and maybe we should cover this for viewers as well. When people put on shoes right at the beginning of a ride, they need to put them on fairly loose. And then as the ride goes on, if you're feeling a little bit of slop and your foot is moving around, then tighten it just a little bit. But you always want your shoes fairly loose. And then, you know, hour 3, hour 4, it's, you know, 80 degrees, 90 degrees. Then your foot starts to swell. It's too late at that point to release the pressure of the shoe because now your foot's already in pain. So it's always better to adjust it to a tightening situation than go backwards and try to loosen it. It's the same old adage of, you know, eat before you're hungry and drink before you're thirsty. By the time you do that with a shoe, now your foot's already in pain. So always adjust towards a tightening direction as opposed to a loosening direction during a ride. And if you're not sprinting, if you're not, you know, climbing a 20% grade, there's no reason for your shoes to be so tight anyway. Right?
Okay.
So yeah, just be aware of that. Okay. So how does the right foot, which was not a problem child, how does that one fit?
It fits good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, I didn't get a chance to notice, but are these cycling specific socks?
These are the socks. They're more running socks, but these are the socks I have been wearing all the time.
Okay, that's perfect. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what do you think? Are we keeping these?
Oh, definitely.
Well, and we did a shoe fitting. We had to go with the unfortunately with what do you call it? With going through their whole shoe matrix. And we did a trace of your foot, and then we went through, okay, well, this size will give you this width, and this size will give you that width. Well, we were kind of on the edge, and of course you were a tweener.
Yes, I'm like that with everything.
So you were a tweener, so we had to take a chance, but we did okay, it sounds.
And well, one nice thing I'm seeing with these,
Yes.
they've got the little splits here.
Yeah.
So that gives you some give.
Yeah.
When as your foot starts to swell or just if you flex at all.
Could you roll up that jean there?
Yeah.
And now do it again. So So
Yeah.
people can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, see how it does like that?
Yep.
And that's something you don't even think about. I didn't think about it till I noticed it, and it's like, oh, this is going to be really nice.
Now, one other thing, would you mind telling me what shoes you've had that just didn't work out, and why you were at a point where you're like, okay, that's it, I need new shoes? What were you wearing?
I was wearing a pair of Shimano shoes
Yep.
that I had. I could not tell you which ones they were.
Yep.
They were at least 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
They had very nice carbon fiber soles, and when I first got them, I loved them.
Yeah.
But something about when I put them on about 6 months ago, I put them on and it's like, oh, these are too tight now.
Yeah.
So it was just all of a sudden, and then I took a good look at them, and the heel was completely worn down on the foot I unclip
So no more
all the
walking.
time. Yeah. Well, that's just where you unclip, too.
Oh, okay.
I unclip on this side all the time,
Yeah.
and the other side hardly had anywhere, but one side was worn down, and those shoes did not have the replaceable thing back there.
Heel pads, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
some do, some don't.
Yes.
So I thought, okay, I think it's time for a new pair of shoes.
Right. So we need to be careful because these are nearly $400 shoes. So,
Yes.
so we'll look at the heel pads, see if they're replaceable, but even still, you just don't want to walk on them. So
Right.
and I know that you also have some SPD shoes because I remember
Yes.
changing your cleats once on
Yes.
those. But you've decided to go road on these shoes, right?
Right.
On this trip.
Yes, on this trip, because of the length of the rides and
Yeah.
the amount of climbing, and it makes sense to use road shoes, plus my little cheap sandals that I have with the SPD clips.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, if I ride too long with them, my toes start to go numb.
That's interesting because you have so much open space on the top,
Yeah,
but underneath they go numb.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It was just kind of,
It was time.
yeah.
So briefly tell the viewers this big elephant that you have decided to challenge yourself with. And I should say, and treat yourself because of your recent retirement. So let's go. What do you got?
Yes, I have had a bucket list item for about 15 years now. I wanted to ride across the U.S. Southern tier to start with. Maybe some point I'll do the northern tier. But right before my retirement I retired in 2022. So this was in 2021, and I'm looking forward to retirement.
Yeah.
And I saw this trip for the southern tier, so I signed up for it.
Nice.
So in a little over a week, I am going to be leaving from San Diego, headed for St. Augustine.
Nice. What are the stats? Do you know the numbers? Do you remember them?
I don't know the full numbers, but it's interesting because I got the GPS tracks and I really started looking at some of the rides, and there's a lot of 50 and 60 mile rides at the start. There's a lot of 5,000 feet of climbing going on, and some of them it's funny. You look at straight numbers. I thought the worst day was going to be this day where we're going into, I want to say Apache Junction. I don't know if it's something junction, but in Arizona, but it's like 72 miles and 7,200 feet of elevation. And I thought, oh, holy crap. Then I looked at the GPS tracks.
Yeah.
And it's a constant uphill at 2 to 3%.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that's doable. It's tiring, but it's doable.
Yeah.
The next day is like 54 miles and 5,000 feet of elevation. And there is something like an 8 or 9 mile stretch of 5%.
Yeah.
I said, that's going to be hard.
Yeah. So
I know for you, 5% is a big deal, but for me, it's huge.
It's all relative.
Exactly.
I mean, what I think is a big deal. Yeah, there's always someone faster, right? So
exactly.
So always someone more fit. Let's talk about the time frame. How many days is the trip scheduled for?
It is scheduled for 59 days.
Okay.
We ride approximately every 7 days. You're supposed to have a day off the bike. Doesn't always work out. I notice sometimes it's 4 days, like we go from San Diego to Alpine, Alpine to Jacumba to El Centro to Yuma, then there's a day off.
Yeah. Well, because getting out of San Diego is always hard.
There's some really, the first couple days are nasty.
Yeah. I mean, that's why
and then it's downhill for 2 days or flat.
That's right. That's why I love riding here. So we got to get through our mountains to drop into the desert.
Exactly.
Texas, is that on your route?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. Is that going to be like a
Texas?
Yeah, I was going to say it's got a long.
It's got a lot, and surprisingly, Texas is not entirely flat.
Yeah.
You know, you go through West Texas, and it is once you get out of the Davies Mountains in the Big Bend area of Texas, right there along where the Rio Grande is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the west side of Texas. It's kind of hilly there. Then it flattens out till you get to hill country again. And, you know, there are hills, but it's not like the mountains you've come through.
Yeah. So Southern Tier, is that anywhere close to some of the Ram route? Because
I think Ram goes further north.
It does, yeah. I know. I know there's some states, like we never do Texas. We never do. But I thought maybe getting out of here, you followed some. I mean, there's only a few ways out of here anyway.
Right. I think
to get through the mountain passes.
Yeah, I'm thinking Ram might head more up toward the Las Vegas route.
Yeah. Okay.
Does it go through Cajon Pass or?
I can't remember. It was 2007.
Yeah.
It's too long.
Because as you said, there's only so many passes through the mountains.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I mean, eventually we do Arizona, Utah, Colorado. But in this case here, yeah. Okay. So then you get through, 59 days. So let's call that 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Starting March. So let's call it April, May. Yeah, so it's probably going to start to get hot and humid and muggy.
Exactly.
By the end of the trip.
It makes it really hard to kind of plan your packing because you're told to pack light. But the thing is, I mean, we're looking just barely a week out, and the weather is not warm here in San Diego. And I'm thinking the day when we're climbing up to Jacumba, it's going to be chilly.
Yeah.
So it's like that's going to take, you know, your jacket, your knicker pants.
Multiple layers.
And then you come down into the desert and you probably won't need them. So I finally decided what I'm going to do, since it's all in the U.S. and postage is not that bad.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take what I think I'm going to need and then start mailing stuff home as I don't need it anymore.
Do you have a way to ship stuff forward? Or is everything in like a vehicle behind you all the time?
Everything's in a vehicle.
Okay.
So I thought I'm just going to stuff a suitcase.
Okay.
Because, for instance, I'm going to have to start off with a jacket. But
Every
I
day,
guarantee
probably.
come April in Texas, you're not going to need a fleece jacket.
Or May.
Yeah, or May in Florida and Alabama and Louisiana.
Yeah.
You're not going to need it.
And you're from Alabama?
Alabama, yeah. It's kind of fun to look at the route and look down. There's a little island off the coast of Alabama called Dauphine Island. Think Dauphiné, you know, Dauphiné.
Yeah.
You know, it's the French word, but in Alabama, it's dolphin.
Yeah.
But we are taking the Causeway Bridge over to Dauphin Island and going to take the ferry out. These are things I did when I was in high school.
That's what I was going to say.
It's like, this is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how the Gulf Coast has changed.
Yeah.
Because we ride along the Gulf Coast. My family used to go camping down in Gulf Shores, Alabama. We're going to go through Gulf Shores, so.
And St. Augustine, I'm not familiar with Florida's geography. Is that like pretty far north, like by Georgia border, or where's it at?
It is just south of Jacksonville.
Oh, I know Jacksonville, yeah.
So, yeah, most people will fly out of Jacksonville.
So wait, so that's going to be on the Panhandle side. It's not the Atlantic?
No, it is the Atlantic side.
Oh, it is. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just been so long since I've been over there.
You were thinking not Orlando, but more like Tampa.
Tampa. Yes,
yeah, but
that's
yes,
probably.
Jacksonville is a little closer to the Florida border.
Okay.
Not the Florida, the Georgia border.
So it is an Atlantic Ocean finish.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
You dip your tire
yes,
in the Pacific and dip it in the Atlantic, and it's like, do I want to dip my nice tires in the ocean?
Dip your toe, but take your shoes off.
Yes.
Take your new shoes off.
Exactly. I had a friend who did this route probably well over 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And she dipped her tire in the Pacific and in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And it was like a year later, she kept complaining and complaining about that tire. She had her mechanic look at it. And he says, oh, it's
corroded.
rusting.
Yeah,
it's corroded. Did you dip this in the ocean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I keep that in mind. It's like,
Yeah. So let's shoot a quick video. A quick shot of your bike. Now, this was a complete custom setup that we did for you. And it was just, the timing was horrendous because
COVID.
because we had COVID. But this is a Alchemy coupling bike with Di2 hydraulic disc brakes, Envy wheels. And this was another treat for yourself after working so many years. You said, that's it. I want a custom bike. I am 5'1".
Yes.
5'1". It's very hard for me to ride stock geometries on bikes. And George, I want you to make, to get me a custom bike. And this is what we ended up with. Well, that sounds bad. This is what we chose.
Yes.
And
I wanted titanium.
Because you wanted titanium. Yep. And so we got, at that time in 2020, we got all the bells and whistles that were available without completely breaking the bank. So we went with Ultegra Di2. We have an RX rear derailleur, so we're able to get some large gearing in the back. So we got a 34 back here, and then a compact crank up front, and the Envy wheels. I mean, this was just a very well-spec'd bike, and I was so happy to finally find some time to build it. Because I was I was servicing so many beach cruisers and just 10-year-old bikes with just everything that came out of the woodworks during COVID. But yeah, this was a pleasure and a joy to build. And I'm so glad that that you got a chance to do this. And you've taken this with the couplings. How many times have you taken this apart and taken it, to Europe, or where did you go?
Oh, geez. I've done it at least 3 times.
Yep.
Let's see. I've been to Tennessee a couple times.
Right.
My sister lives in Tennessee.
Yep.
So that's a jump off point for some of our trips. I've done the Ohio to Erie Canal Trail on it. Everyone thinks because there's a lot of gravel, you need a gravel bike. No, you need a bike with 28 centimeter wheels.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. So where the 28s was also a big issue for you. Not issue, but you just couldn't fit that on your Scott.
Yes.
Your Contessa was a pre-big tire time frame or era. And so I think we were maxed out at like 23s or 25 maybe. Yeah, so 28s on the Erie. What was this again? The
Ohio to Erie. It's a bike trail that goes through the middle of Ohio. It's actually for laid-back riders. It's a great ride. It's fairly flat.
Was that a rails to trail, or was it?
Yes. Okay. Well, some of it is rails to trail. Some of it is just bike path.
Yeah, nice.
Ohio's done a very nice job with it. The thing is you got closer to Cleveland, going through the Cuyahoga National Park and everything. That's where you got all your gravel stuff.
Nice.
But this worked like a champ.
Nice. Okay, so lots of climbing on this route.
I'm going to be using that big gear a lot.
Yeah, 34. So I think you'll be fine. And let's just talk about a goal. So there are rest days, but then there are also days where you can opt out of riding.
Correct.
What do you think? I mean, you haven't done anything like this before, but what do you think you may want to do there?
My goal is to ride as many miles as I can, but don't be ridiculous. Some days, especially on a bike tour, you get on the bike and you're just not feeling the love. And you look and it's an 80-mile day. So after 40 miles, you say, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going to ride tomorrow.
Okay.
So you have to learn to be smart about it. When I first started doing bike tours, I was bound and determined to ride every mile that I possibly could.
Because you paid for it.
Because I paid for it. It was my vacation, and I love it. Damn
it. Yeah, I'm going to ride. Yep.
But I did a 3-week tour through Utah back in 2015. The first day was St. George to Zion, which was probably 45 miles. It had some climbing in it, but it was nothing that should have been undoable. Well, this was St. George in, September.
Oh.
And it was so hot. Mm-hmm. And one thing I've learned about myself is I don't handle excessive heat well. I don't sweat a whole lot, so I really overheat. And I really wanted a little time to spend. We didn't have a rest day in Zion. It was just, you get back, you can take the bus over to Zion and see the park. And I really wanted to see the park. So we had ridden, and we were probably 10 miles outside of town. Maybe not even that. And we were coming up this hill, and I'm thinking, this is not fun. I'm so hot.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of this already. And I saw the sag wagon out there, and it was funny. I rode up to the sag wagon. There was another lady there, and the drivers, I'm hearing her saying, if you do not answer me now, you're getting in that car whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
She was
for heat exhaustion or stroke.
I rode up and I said, I'm done. I'm getting in the car. And that helped the other. Oh, I think I'll get in too.
Right. So for the viewers, to give them some perspective, St. George in September, because I've done the Hoodoo 500, which starts at the end of August, like the year I did it was like August 30th. It was 108, and it wasn't even 12 noon yet.
Yes, this day was in the 90s, in the mid-90s.
Okay. Yeah, so it can be
desert.
Yeah, it can be very, very hot. So for viewers that are not from the U.S., because we do have quite a few people that watch us from other places, 100 something, and I forget what the Celsius conversion is, but it can be very, very hot, and it's so dry that you go through bottles so quickly.
Yeah, you can hardly keep yourself hydrated.
Yeah.
And I don't know about men, but women, we've always worn lip balm and lipstick. You trying to keep your lips moisturized.
Yes. Yeah. No. No, for sure. I ride with lip balm and when you've been completely dehydrated because you get off the bike and you're drinking and trying to rehydrate, and your mouth is dry and your lips are chapped, and it's just it's brutal. But
yes, it is.
It's brutal. Okay, so let's cut this guy off, and then let's talk about your bike and the service it needs. But yeah, so have you noticed that you've been wearing your shoes this whole time?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And
are you happy?
Yes, they feel good. I can even feel arch supports in them.
Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing that so you can take a great fitting shoe and turn it into an exceptional shoe with insoles. But we're probably going to run out of time before your trip. When do you leave? March what?
March 8th.
8th, okay, yeah.
Well, technically the 9th. I meet the group on the 8th. We leave on the 9th.
Right, okay. And today is February the 27th, I think?
I think so.
Yeah, so, not much time.
Not much time.
You know what the overnight low was yesterday? Or going to be, I think, tomorrow? Yeah, 36 degrees.
36, oh jeez.
Yeah, so...
There's snow on our mountains.
Yeah, there is. And there's snow at the lower elevations as well.
I know, I was shocked when I saw, I don't even know what hills they are.
Yeah.
Up in North County. They're not even mountains, and they had snow.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But this has been such a storm. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Letitia.
No
I appreciate how forthcoming you are about your trip, your shoes, and everything else. And I'm sure and I'm sure the viewers will enjoy it as well.
Okay.
All right. All right. So that's all for today. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you up the road.